as we engage with some great conversations with CFNC around planning for our future and have the opportunity to engage with our spotlight principles for this evening's conversation. Please take a moment to sign in using the bit.ly that is displayed on your screen and has been shared in the chat. That's bit.ly/CMSTIFAC sign in. If you are in need of interpretation services on this evening's call, please choose a live interpretation from the top. From there, you'll select your language and then select the language of need in the volume using the slide. Once you hit save, you'll be able to access those interpretation services. And families, we hope to connect with you this evening. We want to encourage you to share your thoughts, any questions you might have with our presenters. We ask that you stay muted during the content of the presentation, but feel free to raise your hand, drop any messages within that chat feature, or unmute during our Q&A times to directly ask your questions to our presenters. I'm going to share the interpretation slide one more time just to ensure that all community members who might have joined have had an opportunity to access. If you are in need of those language services, please choose interpretation language, select your language of need, adjust your balance volume, and then save. And families, I would like to highlight the roles of our advisory committee. As we've gathered together this year, this is our third of 4 meetings where we've had the opportunity to learn more about different services that are available through Title I programming. We've been able to provide information and feedback regarding policy SPENG, which is always valuable as we evaluate our school board policy surrounding districts, family, and community engagement for our Title I schools. You've had the opportunity to propose any new ideas or share any new ideas as we've had discussions around school safety and engaging with our different principal spotlights. And tonight we're excited to share resources to support learning and continued growth as we plan for our futures in education. And at this time, I'm excited to turn it over to our presenter, Ms. Tamika Ruffin from the Colleges for North Carolina, CFNC, who will be guiding us through this evening's presentation.
Thank you, Molly. So good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Tamika. I do work for CFNC. Hopefully you've heard of CFNC, but if not, this is good that you're here because we want to be able to make sure that all the families here, and especially if you're living here in North Carolina, that you know about free resources to kind of help you plan for your student to get ready for life after high school. So we'll go on and get started here. So our goal tonight, of course, is if you haven't been to CFNC, that you will encourage you to go to the website. Again, everything on there is free. We do have a target, of course, to work with families to start as early as kindergarten, to kind of get ready to start getting ready for life after high school, what it is your student, how to help them as a parent, get ready for each phase of the process. So these are, of course, you can go to cfnc.org, but if you're on the website, if I say something tonight and you're like, I would love to, I can't find what she was talking about here, you can always call our toll-free number. It's 866-866-CFNC, or you can send an email. We have an email address on our website as well. Our website can be accessed in English and or Spanish. And if you're using Google Chrome, you can, of course, always use the language translate to translate anything on our website that you'd like to. So one of the things that I do like to make sure is that as you're working with your student and you're talking about what their plans are going to be after high school, obviously we do focus a lot on wanting students to continue their education, whether or not it's a 2-year school or 4-year college. Whenever you hear me say the word college, I am not just talking about the 4-year experience. Some of your students can absolutely and will be able to get what they need at a 2-year school. So they may can get it in 6 months. They may can get it in 3 months. It just depends on what it is they decide to do. But what I do like for parents to start doing with students is to start talking about, what it is they want to be, when either if they're younger, what they want to be when they grow up, or what would they like to go to college for. So one of the ways that we like to get students and parents kind of prepare for that is we like for you to use the free tools that we provide. So we'll go on to the next one so that you can see. We have partnered with NC Careers. So if you're not familiar with NC Careers, then you absolutely need to go there. Every state sort of has like a database where they keep record of all the places that are hiring in our state. So if you're a parent and you're looking for employment, NC Careers is where you should be, because it houses all of that, lets you know where all the local work reinforcement places are where you can find employment. But we decided to partner with them because not only do we want to make sure parents are finding employment, we also want you to start helping your student figure out how can they start thinking about what they like to do. And the best way to do that is for them to start taking career assessments. And so this is also good for if you're thinking about going back to college yourself or taking some classes. This is really great because they have really free career assessments for you to be able to take to figure that out. One of the ones I do like, you can see a few of them on the screen, but once you go to the NC Career site, again, we have it linked with CF&C. We have several of them. It tells you how long they are, but something that would be good for you as you're working with students, I like the interest profiler is really good for students. Career cluster is really good for students. What it really does is just ask them, like, what is it that you like to do in your free time? And it tries to connect that to a job or a career, because that's how you start kind of helping figure them out, who they are, what they're supposed to be doing. And if you're an adult, one of the things that we do, like if you're thinking about this, is we like to kind of think about transferable skills. How can you take the skills that you already have and transfer them into employment? So we have that checklist on there to help you with that. Lots of really great free information. We also have a new one on there, which I like because a lot of students are thinking about being entrepreneurs, right? And some of you may be talking about your students about what would it be like to own your own business? Would you like to have your own business? So we have an assessment on there called Be Your Own Boss. And it really just asks questions to the students to help them figure out what it takes to own a business. And again, also good for adults if you're thinking about that, like what skills does it take? And after you take the assessment, it tells you that you may be lacking a few skills before you start your business. What we try to do is connect you with your local community college. The really great thing is at all of our community colleges, they have a lot of entrepreneurial programs. So one of the things you hear a lot about when people start a business, right, is that sometimes the business fail, and it's usually because they aren't really prepared or have all the things in place to be able to start it. And the local community college actually offers courses to help entrepreneurs start out really strong. And so that's what the assessment does, is sort of gives you and connects you with some of those courses at the local community college. So we're trying to help not only the student to learn about themselves, but again, if you're a parent and you're thinking about going into the workforce or trying to find a better paying opportunity for you, learning about yourself is really the start of all of that. We're going to go into the next one. So one of the things that you get to see is after a student answers some questions, or whoever's taking the assessment answers questions, we want to try to expand their mind. As a parent and you're working with a student, we only know so much, right? There's no way you can know all of the thousands of different career options that exist. And so the reason why I love assessments is because once they answer the questions, it gives them hundreds of ideas based on how they answer the question on what they could do. Like these are are some possible job opportunities. What we typically see with students in particular, especially when they're getting close to finishing high school, is they don't want to do any more school, right? I don't want to go to school anymore. But what we're trying to do is to get them excited about something. And that's really how you kind of get them and encourage them to go past high school, is to get excited about something. A lot of times they haven't heard of careers they're excited about. They only heard about things that you know about as a parent, that maybe people around them, they've heard some careers, but it's really hard to know all the different options that exist. So after a student takes an assessment, they get to see hundreds of different career options. It tells them exactly about those careers, how much they make, what does that occupation do? Like, what exactly do they do? And we'll click on this so you can see. It tells you a little bit more about what they do during a typical workday. So again, just trying to get those students to start thinking about jobs in a different way. Some jobs look very glamorous, right, at first, until you figure out exactly what do they do every day. And so this is a way to do a job shadow online where you kind of really get to see exactly what they do. There are videos that are connected to all of these careers so they can actually see someone doing that. So we love that part of the assessment. And we'll go on to the next slide. You'll be able to see some of the other things that I like, which is, let's say that a student is like, okay, this career sounds interesting to me. How do I do it? And so this is when it starts getting into, well, you would need to go to a 2-year college after you graduate, your local community college, or you might need to go to a 4-year college, depending on what that career is. So it tells them kind of what education is required, and it also gives them ideas of what they can major in. One of the most confusing things about college is, okay, I want to do this, but I don't see that exact name for a major. There's lots of different ways to do a particular career. And so one of the things that I love about these assessment results is that it tells you several different majors that you can major in order to get to a particular career. So that way students aren't limited by, well, I can't go to this school because they don't offer this major. There are lots of different majors that are offered at lots of different schools. And so it gives you a breakdown of different options that the student can major in order to get to that career. We'll go on to the next one. And so one of the things that I like after you're having those conversations with students about, okay, you've taken some assessments, we kind of have an idea what area you might like. I usually tell parents as you're working with students, especially if they're younger, if they're in elementary or middle, I like for students to take assessments every year, right? Because they're always changing. And so you want to make sure, and for me, I'm looking for themes. So there are certain careers that will continue to show up for that student if they're really answering the questions very honestly about who they are. And so you're just checking to see, oh, this one keeps showing up for you. You took this in elementary school, these careers kept coming up for you in middle school, in high school. And so you're looking for a theme. But then the other part is, okay, now we kind of have an idea what area you like or what kind of career field that would probably interest you the most. What colleges offer that? So I told you before, the assessments will kind of give you ideas about what to major in. But then the other part is, okay, what colleges offer that major? What colleges offer that program? And so we do have a college search on CFNC where you can actually search for colleges by major and program. And so under our main page, our website looks like this at the top. You'll see plan for your future, apply to college, pay for college. If you have a student who is 8th grade or younger, you're going to be under plan for your future a lot. That's where you'll find most of your resources. And so under plan for your future, you can actually do a college search. And over on the left-hand side, you can search for colleges based off of things that you're looking for. And in this instance, we're looking for colleges with certain majors. So I type in my major, and it tells me all the colleges that offer that particular major or program. So you can do that all from your home, whether or not you have a computer or on your smartphone, you can look it up and see what programs are offered at different schools. We'll go on to the next one. And then I do like for parents, as you're talking to students about colleges, especially this time of the year, it's very exciting during March Madness. That's when we're doing this right now. And so we have a lot of people that are excited about colleges, which I love. But I do like for families to dig into them a little bit deeper, just to kind of see if it's a good fit for you. So yes, you find some colleges that may offer your students program. Maybe you can get it done at the local community college. Maybe you have to go to a four-year school. But I do want you to dig a little bit deeper to see some other benefits of attending. So we do know that there's a cost typically to go to college. I like for families to get the full benefit of being at that college or university. And so when you're looking for colleges and talking to them, I do want you to look for colleges that give your students the opportunity to do internships, to do apprenticeships. This is like hands-on work before they actually graduate. I do want you to dig a little bit more to find out what other things does that college offer that could help my student prepare better, right, when they graduate from whatever that particular school is that they're going to go to. Some of your students may want to travel and see what it's like. If you're from another country, you might want to study abroad a semester. So that student could go back to that country and maybe study there for a semester. If that's important to you, you can also ask colleges about their study abroad programs. That's included, like as them being a part of that institution and you paying for that, they have opportunities for them to study abroad. There are also opportunities for them to have more than one major. So what I'm trying to get a lot of parents to start pushing their kids, because I know most of the time it's like, what is it that you want to do? Like there's only one thing you have to choose in life, right, that you want to do. But we're pretty complex people. So a lot of us may like, something in finance, but we also really love music, right? So maybe I want to do something that kind of brings both of those worlds together. And so a lot of students will do double majors when they're in college. A lot of students will have a major and a minor. So a good thing to ask colleges is about how do you prepare or help students who have several interests? What if they want to have two majors? What if they want to have a major and then they want to take a few classes in another area? What does that look like? And so that's a question to ask colleges, because all colleges give students that opportunity. But a lot of people aren't aware that students can have more than one major in college, right? But again, I want you to get the full effect and get all of your money's worth when it's going to college. And then also you want to look at opportunities, of course, for advising and getting assistance for those type of things. But I do want you to dig a little bit further as you find out different colleges and information. We can go on to the next one. The other thing I do like for parents to look at when you're looking at colleges is sort of like your return of investment. So again, we know colleges may cost a little bit, but we want to make sure that we're getting all of our money's worth. So I like for you to also ask colleges. A lot of times you can Google this type of information, but what is their graduation rate? Like we know that a lot of students go to these colleges, especially again, we're in March Madness. This could be a fun activity to do with your students if they're in middle school or elementary, is to Google some of these colleges, see what their graduation rates are, meaning how many students actually graduate from this college. It's great to see that they're having fun now, but do they graduate? You also want to kind of look for stuff like employment rates. One of the things that we hear a lot of parents and students talk about and debate about these days is it worth it, right? If we're going to go to this 2-year or 4-year college, is my student going to be able to find a job when they graduate? So another thing I like for students to ask questions to colleges is to see what their employment rate is. Like how many students actually graduate from there and find employment. You also, of course, you want to look for scholarship opportunities. For some parents, it's very important that their student goes to college without a lot of debt, right? Meaning that they don't want them to have to borrow a lot of money to go to college. You can also kind of look up that type of information. What's the average student loan debt? We actually have a connection with College Scorecard, which are the people that kind of pulled all this data together for you. So you don't even have to really look it up. If you see at the bottom of this screen, I have a link that takes you directly to it. It's collegescorecard.ed.gov. If you go to that site, you can find any of this information I was just talking about for any college that you're thinking about in the United States. It will tell you their graduation rates. It'll tell you their employment rates. It'll tell you everything that you want to know that's really important before deciding to send your student to a college. We'll go on to the next one. And so I do like to make sure, especially because you're here in North Carolina, I like to make sure you know what's around you and what your affordable options are when it comes to preparing your student for life after high school. So let's go on to the next one. And this is also a fun thing to think about as we're getting closer to the summer. I know you'll be traveling, maybe some of you may be traveling a little bit across the state. This is a great time to maybe stop on a college campus once you learn about where some of these colleges are located. We do have 58 community colleges here. Luckily, you're in a county that houses one of the largest community colleges in our state. And so we have lots of opportunities for students to be able to attend, again, to get a 3-month, a 6-month, a year certification that can allow them to have a better earning potential than they would if they didn't attend at all. And again, this is for adults as well. A lot of students also try to take advantage of dual enrollment programs in high school. So if you have a student who's not in high school yet, maybe they're elementary or middle, we do like for you to also prepare your students for the option that they'll be given in high school to do dual enrollment. Dual enrollment means that that student will be enrolled in their regular high school courses so that they can graduate, but then they also have the option to enroll in college courses. And the benefits of them doing it while they're in high school is that because they're a high school student, they get those classes for free. So as we're talking about colleges and opportunities to go to college, one of the things you want to try to help prepare your student for is what can I do now, right, to prepare them. And so this would mean, like, if I'm a middle school, if my student's getting close to middle school, one of the requirements that they usually like to see for a student to be able to take dual enrollment classes while they're in high school is they like to have them take a certain level of math. So I like for parents that are in middle school to be sure that you're talking to your counselor, especially as they're getting closer to the 8th grade, to see what kind of math or the classes that would be recommended for them to take if you would like for them to do dual enrollment in high school. There are lots of students who do that. Some students graduate with a year's worth of college credit, which is amazing. So they're saving a lot of money and getting all those classes for free. But that's something they have the opportunity to do with their local community college. And then, of course, just two-year schools have hundreds of different options for them to major in and have degree courses in. So community colleges are amazing, and we love them because they are so affordable and they are so accessible for everybody here. We'll go on to the next one. And just so you're aware, like, we don't just have any system in our state. We have the third largest system in the nation, right? I didn't say like on the East Coast or on the West Coast. In the nation, we have the third largest community college system. And the reason why I want to be sure that I bring that up, because again, not only as you're preparing your students for life after high school, for you as a parent, there are just so many opportunities that are offered at your local community college. We invest a lot into our community college to make sure that people are employable and that they have lots of opportunities while they're there. It's only $76 per credit hour. So usually for a course, used at a community college, it's usually 3 credit hours, right? For one class at a community college, which means it's about $100 to $150. Very affordable when it comes to the community college system. We have over 600,000 students who attend annually because a lot of people, again, are either looking for a quick certification program where they can get a little bit more earning potential, or they're looking for that 2-year degree where they would be able to either transfer to a 4-year school or do the job that they need to. We'll go on to the next one. The other thing that we have here in North Carolina is we have 16 public colleges. These are the colleges you probably hear about the most, right? These are the schools. Obviously, we have one very large four-year college in North Carolina here at Charlotte, at UNC Charlotte. We have several wonderful colleges across our state. So if your student likes the mountains, or if they're interested in being on the coast, right? Who doesn't want to study at the water, right? They want to go to a college that's on the coast. We have all of those options here. So you can see where all of our sort of amazing 16 public colleges are. We also have a program here in North Carolina, because I want to kind of keep reiterating to you all about the affordability of college, because sometimes I think people give it a bad rap sometimes, but it's very affordable for a lot of families. We have a program here called North Carolina Promise. And the purpose of that program is so that students are able to go to certain public colleges in our state for a much lower rate. rate. So that means that usually at our public colleges, to be a full-time student, it's about $6,000 to $7,000 per year, right? To take classes and be a full-time student. But at our promise colleges, people are paying $500 per semester. So I mentioned before at a community college, that's about what you would pay at a community college for a semester. We have four-year institutions that your student could attend or that you could attend that are $500 per semester to be a full-time student there. So that means $1,000 per year. You still would have to pay, of course, for room and meals if that student was to live on campus or if you were living on campus, but the tuition is significantly lower. And the four colleges that are currently a part of the Promise program are the colleges you'll see in the bottom left-hand corner, which are Western Carolina, UNC Pembroke, Fayetteville State, and Elizabeth City State. So all of these are really great schools. Again, you'll see them starred here, a little bit in the mountains, a little bit closer to the coast, some of them closer to this area. But those students that go there pay significantly less than others. And those colleges have made that choice to put their tuition lower. And so that's something I do want to make you aware of as you're looking at options. And again, if you want to go visit some of those schools over the summer. Go over to the next one. And so one of the questions we get a lot, of course, is how much do these colleges cost, right? So we have 16 public colleges, we have 58 community colleges, and we have 36 private colleges. So you'll see over in the top right-hand corner, I didn't have a slide specifically for them. We have 36 private colleges, and these colleges are colleges that will that have a smaller class environment. So there are some of your students that may want to go off to a four-year school, but they may not want to go to a really large institution. And private colleges are really great for that because they offer a smaller sort of class environment. So in order to be a full-time student at our 16 public colleges, to be a full-time student, to live on campus, to have a meal plan, to have all the things that are related to going to college for a year, on average, our state schools are about $22,000 to $24,000 a year. Our community colleges, on average, for a full-time student is about $3,000 to $5,000 per year. Again, they're so affordable, which is why we love them. And our private colleges on average are about $47,000 per year. What I don't want you to be afraid of is the price, though. One of the things that I hope that you'll be able to join in April is we're going to dig a little bit deeper on how we're encouraging students and how they finance college. There are lots of students who, yes, these are the prices for the schools, but they're not paying that at all. Some of them aren't paying anything to be at those colleges. And so just want to kind of give you an idea of the cost for some of our schools. On to the next one. Also, as we're talking about preparing your student to get ready for the college experience, I do like for parents of elementary, middle, early high school, I do like for you whenever there's an opportunity for you to attend a local college fair. College fairs are just kind of places that are set up where colleges kind of travel around, and they allow you to kind of visit them in one location. We have here in North Carolina, there is a college association, it's called, that travels around every year to every county in our state. And so your student will have an opportunity to attend at least one of the college fairs that we have here in North Carolina, again in the fall. Every year we do that. But I like for your students to attend, and if you're able to attend, some of them are in the evening, some of them are during the school day. But I do this as an opportunity for the students to ask questions about colleges, to kind of get a little bit more in depth about some of the options that are offered at different schools. It also gives you a chance too, as a parent, to be able to kind of talk to someone personally from that college, to get a relationship with some of the colleges. I think it's so great to form relationships with people that work at the colleges, and they usually work in admissions there. So I like for you as a middle or elementary parent to attend these college fairs, maybe a few years before they get there, but it gives you an opportunity to have some early conversations to understand more about the cost and what they offer. We'll go on to the next one. And then one of the other things I want to mention, we'll go to the next one, is as a parent, I do like for you to make sure that you're preparing your student for the college process, what I do see a lot is that there are a lot of students and parents that would love for their students to be able to attend college, but they didn't prepare early enough for the process. Again, I like for parents to start preparing students, especially in middle school, for preparing for college if they're thinking about that's going to be their experience afterwards. That means that I do like for a lot of colleges, they look at classes that students take. And so I like for students starting 8th grade to start looking at their course selection, right? What classes that can I take as an 8th grader or as a middle school student that may be a little bit more advanced, will give me a little bit room to take some other classes while I'm in high school. Because one of the things that colleges look at, especially the four-year schools, is they look to see what classes students take, usually started in 9th grade, but then now they also look at some 8th grade courses because students are able to take some classes in the 8th grade. And so they start looking at those courses to see what students have taken and what grades they've gotten in them. But in order for a student to be able to take honors classes or advanced classes, they have to do well in the regular classes. And so I like for parents to continue to stay on students in middle school about their grades on the basic classes. Even though it seems like it's early, that kind of prepares us the foundation for them to be able to succeed in an honors class or an AP class in high school, as if they do well in those classes in middle school. I also want to kind of just show you here, these are most of the requirements that colleges look for when it comes down to that. I mentioned course selection. That's something you can prepare for early. Another thing that a lot of colleges are starting to look for now is community service. And so I like for students starting in middle school to start thinking about how can they volunteer in their community? What can they do to make their community better? But also, what can they do that would also add to college applications? And so a lot of students start in middle school volunteering. Once they start in middle school, it becomes a part of who they are, right? So once they're in high school, it's not a challenge to get them to volunteer. It's not a challenge for them to be able to list the things they've done in their community or their churches, again, on their free time. And so a lot of times I do like for middle school parents to start volunteering with your student, showing them what volunteering means, why students volunteer. And colleges are starting to look at that because they understand that students that volunteer are the students that they want at their institutions. Those are the students that are going to make a difference, right, in our world and make it better. And so that's the kind of things that colleges are looking for. So again, they're going to be looking at grades, so start early with making sure they're doing good in their classes so that they can take advanced courses as they get into high school, and also paying attention to their community service and their volunteering and what they're doing outside of the classroom. We'll move on to the next one. And one of the things that I'll give, I said this before, I do want students to be very serious about their grades starting the first year of high school, but the only way that can happen is that foundation has to have been laid in elementary and middle. So they have to start out where the first year of high school, they understand that grades are very serious and they're very much a part of what they're going to be doing after high school. I do like for parents, I do like for you to get to know that students' counselors in middle school. I know in elementary school, typically parents are very involved, but in middle school, I do like for parents to continue to have relationships with their counselors at their school, especially in high school. It's important to have that relationship so that you know when opportunities for scholarships arise, when you know college fairs will be in the area, when you know a college is going to be visiting that high school that they're attending. It's good to know to have that relationship with counselors. And so I do encourage you to stay connected as you are here. You obviously are connected. That's how you know about this program. But I do want you to continue to be connected with all of the resources through your school system, because that's how you better prepare for your student as they get closer to ending their high school career. We'll go on to the next one. One of the things that we have on CF&C that I do want to make sure that you're aware of, we do have a timeline that's very helpful. So you heard me a lot say that I do like for parents, especially middle school parents, to make sure as they're getting closer to 8th grade that you're staying on top of them about getting prepared for the whole process and being serious about their grades. We actually have a timeline on CF&C. So remember I said if you're early in the process, you'll spend a lot of time under Plan for Your Future on CF&C, the very first thing you'll see is a timeline. And you can actually click on the grade level that your student is in. And we tell you, you don't even have to wonder, like, what am I supposed to be doing now? I feel like I should be doing something to help my student get ready for college because I'd like for them to attend or they want to attend. Once you click on a grade, we tell you exactly everything that you should be doing at that grade level to start preparing that student for college. And even when we're on there, because there's so much information on CF&C, we give you links to other places so that you can learn more. And again, all of this is free for you to be able to access anytime that you want to. So I encourage you to make use of our timeline. Even if your student is not in the 8th grade, you can look at other older grades just to see, what this process looks like and how we can start preparing now to make sure my student succeeds, right? Once they get to that grade. We'll go on to the next one. And the other thing that I do want to mention, under Plan for Your Future, I kind of mentioned that you can search for colleges. I just mentioned the information about the timeline. But the other thing that I want to mention here, because there's so much stuff that's on our website that you can access for free. Again, a lot of parents don't know. One of the things I want to stress is that we do have a program in the middle. It's called Student Enrichment Programs. And I kind of have an arrow pointing to it here. Under Plan for College, under the Planning for Future section on our site, you can find out about any summer camp program that's offered on any college campus in our state. So whether or not it's a community college or four-year college, if you would like for your student to attend a camp program during the summer, some of them are a week, some of them are just one weekend, some of them may last a couple of weeks, but they are college prep camps. Some of them are free. Some of them students can apply for a scholarship to attend these camp programs, and then some of them may have a fee. But the earlier that you apply, the better option that you'll have for some of the free opportunities or for your student to be able to get a scholarship to go. These summer camp programs start in kindergarten. So one of the things I do want to let you know, obviously, the elementary students are not staying overnight at these camp programs, but they have a lot of parents want to know what kind of programs are happening where my elementary student can go during the day when school is out. Student enrichment programs is where you want to go. A lot of the community colleges offer programs for K-5 camp programs. A lot of our private colleges offer elementary level camp programs. So we want to make sure that everybody has equal access to finding out what's free and what programs are offered at college campuses so that you can have something also for your student to do during the summer while at the same time they're planning for their future. And so these are a great place for you to go and search for some summer camp programs. We're getting very close to summer, so I know you're looking for opportunities for them to be able to attend. We also have lots of information on there too for students who are thinking about transferring if they want to go to a community college first and maybe transfer to a four-year college later. We have tools on there to help guide you on how to do that. And I do want to mention at the very bottom, and I don't know if you can see that well, but we also have something for students with disabilities. So this is not just for students who have physical disabilities. We have lots of students who just learn different, right? There are different ways that they learn. There's different resources that you already know that your student is going to need if they're planning to go to college. And so we have connected with all of our colleges and some national websites to be able to provide resources so that you can find colleges that offer resources that your student would need. Because I don't want you to feel like, I don't know if my student can handle college because they have this particular learning difference, right? Colleges are very aware of that, and they have lots of resources to help your students succeed if your goal is for them to attend college. So definitely visit that section if you have that concern and want to learn more about how to help my student who learns different be able to succeed on the college level. So we'll go on to the next one. And then the other program that I want to mention, this is a new program for us. So I wanted to be sure I threw this in there. I know some of you, again, if you're elementary and middle, you have a little bit more time. But we just created this program called Junior Next Step. And this is for students who are juniors in high school, especially for parents who have juniors, getting ready to be juniors in high school. And you're trying to figure out, what am I supposed to be doing between now and the summer? I don't want to feel behind senior year. I want to feel like I am helping prepare them in some way, but it's been a long time since I've been to college, or I've never gone to college, so I don't know what to do to help them with this process. So we created Junior Next Step. It is a free self-guided program. So all you have to do is sign up for the program. Once you sign up, it will ask you what track do you want. So it will ask you if you're a student, do you want your student to go to college? Is your student thinking about going into the military? Is your student thinking about going straight to work after high school? It is a self-guided program for parents to be able to get advice. We send out monthly emails to you, and you can also have the option to get text messages where we kind of are saying, okay, it's March or it's April. Talk to your junior, your rising junior about this. If, again, depending on their track, make sure that they're preparing for having to take whatever test they may need to take their senior year. So again, it's a free self-guided program. It's also under Plan for Your Future. It's called the Junior Next Step, but you'll see that there's a direct sort of URL on here if you want to learn more. You can definitely join before your student is a junior. It's meant for junior families, but if you wanted to join early, sure, you can join early and see what some of those steps are if you want to get an early jump start on that. So we'll go ahead and go to the next one. So this is why hopefully it has enticed you a little bit to learn more and go onto the CFNC website and play around. We have so many free resources that if I gave them to you all now, you would feel very overwhelmed. But as elementary, middle school parents, I like for you to have those conversations about what they want to do, what they want to be when they grow up. I like for you to know what options are around you to help you as a parent prepare your student. So definitely have them to create an account. And when we say account, we mean a username and password. So basically you create a username and password so you can have access to all of our career resources that we mentioned before, all of those assessments. I like for students to log in when they take these assessments so that you can see, because again, if they're starting as elementary or middle, I want you to kind of keep tracking what their results are from these assessments that they take every year. And it saves all of that for you. You can also search for scholarships if your student is a high school student and you're getting concerned of that. But again, in April, we're going to talk a little bit more about the financing side of college. But it's really great for you to create one. As a parent, you don't necessarily have to create a username and password for this website, because you can browse around on this site and see everything without having a username and password. But if you want your student to actually do something on this website, right, take an assessment, go through a certain program that's free on here, they do need one. But as a parent, you don't necessarily have to, but I encourage you to visit the site definitely after today. We'll go on to the next one. We do also offer statewide webinars. So again, you're here because you're interested in getting information early. Through our state, another free resource that we provide is that we provide free webinars throughout the school year. And so you can, while you're on the cfnc.org website, you can visit our events section, and it will show you any webinars that are being offered. All of our webinars we do record, and we typically put them on our YouTube channel as well. So you'll be able to listen to them later. But all of, again, our resources is try to figure out how can we help you as a parent or as an adult who's thinking about going back to college. How can we help guide you through that for free, right? And so don't miss any of our statewide webinars that we offer throughout the school year. I'm going to the next one. And again, if you are on social media, stay connected with us. Besides just our website, we're also on all the social media platforms. We try to make sure, especially when we have webinars, that we post them on our social media sites. If you sign up for our email listserv, I promise we don't send you a million emails, but we do send you sort of emails if we have something coming up, a webinar. If you'd rather get it through an email, you could do that. And as I mentioned, on our YouTube channel, which is College for North Carolina, you can go to our YouTube channel and visit any of our free webinars that we've done throughout the school year. So hopefully, again, this has enticed you to go to CFNC. Our information is just about going to any college after high school, or for an adult who's thinking about going to school. It's not restricted to North Carolina, although we would love for you to stay here, right, in North Carolina. But of course, it's also applicable if you're thinking about going out of state or moving. All of this information is just great to have a free resource to be able to go to and guide you through it. So definitely visit the site. But thank you, Molly, and I'll turn it back over to you all, see if anybody has any questions.
Thank you, Tamika, for sharing such valuable and actionable information for our families regarding those next steps in that planning for college process. Families, if you have any questions, please feel free to unmute, raise your hand, or drop them in the chat at this time. We're excited to have Tamika back with us at the Family Academy Lunch and Learn on Thursday, April 16th, where we'll continue to dive into some of those resources regarding sharing, paying, and financing college. Righty. If there's no questions at this time, we'll continue through our program. Tamika, thank you once again for your time this
You're
evening and
welcome.
sharing such valuable and engaging information. I am hooked, taking notes as a parent and writing down all these steps that I need to start doing just
Yes.
to make sure we're prepared.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great.
It's great stuff. It's great stuff. And there's so much great stuff. So, echoing a few of the reactions I see in the room, just a big applause. So, thank you again. We're
Mhm.
excited to have you back with us in April to continue this work.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, families. And at this time, I am excited to begin our principal spotlight. This evening, I do not believe Principal Marshall was able to join us, unfortunately. So we are so excited to be joined by Principal Palmer of Albemarle Road Elementary School, who will be sharing our principal spotlight this evening for us. Welcome, Principal Palmer.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Families, if you have any questions you would like to engage with Principal Palmer this evening, otherwise we'll go through a few questions that we have, and then we're happy to also address any that come through the chat, or feel free to raise your hand and unmute as well. So Principal Palmer, as we begin, to approach the end of the school year, and we know the hot topic right now is really testing. When should our families start expecting to see test results or final grades come through that they really need to focus in on?
Well, I would kind of say that quarter 3 is really the time that we'd like for families to extra lock in. We obviously don't want to wait to the end of the school year, but quarter 3 is kind of a good baseline and a benchmark time to see, what progress your student has made. So around quarter 3, which is what we're in right now, when those progress reports start coming out, that kind of is a tell-all story for that. Also, what happens in quarter 3 is we participate in our middle of year testing, and that's super exciting. So from an elementary lens, we do what's DIBELS testing, which gives us a chance to assess our students, how are they doing with reading fluency. And then for all of our students in grades K through 8, I can speak about that. They will be taking their middle of year benchmark, mainly, excuse me, let me not misspeak, 1st through 8th. They'll take a middle of year benchmark in what's called iReady. So some of our families might be familiar with that. And we're also engaging this quarter in our MVPAs, which kind of gives us a look into how they'll do when it comes down to the EOG. So quarter 3 is really that time of year to see how we are doing. Also in quarter 3 is when we start having those hard conversations about what type of progress is being made. You may be invited in by your school's teachers, or maybe counselors or whoever, just to start having a conversation if there's something that needs to be discussed. But even if you aren't called upon, it's important to be in touch with the teacher anyway, just to see what the progress looks like. So we will have another report card that comes out in April, and that'll be our third quarter report card. And by this time, you'll have had 3 report cards for the year. But in terms of finality, at the end of the year, you will get a quarter 4 report card, which will be cumulative from 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th quarter. And then any test results for the end of the year will be shared. So we'll be taking an end of year benchmark for DIBELS, an end of year benchmark for iReady, and then the most important assessment of all, which is our end of grade assessments for our scholars who are in grades 3 through 8. And then our students who are in high school, they'll be taking those EOCs. So in terms of when will test results be shared, we know pretty quickly what the end of grade assessment results look like, and who needs to be retested, who needs a little bit of remediation, who needs a little bit of support. So that's a little bit about how test results and final grades come out this year. We are super excited because we've transitioned over to Infinite Campus. So for our parents who are in 3 through 12, you don't have to wait for the students to bring home progress reports. You don't have to wait for them to bring home report cards. Students have access, parents have access to that all throughout the quarter to kind of track and monitor. I did learn that next year maybe K2 is going to be on there as well, but they still get their report cards and progress reports out of SharePoint. And then final grades usually final test scores usually come home with a letter from the principal just kind of saying how your child did. And then when we mail the report cards home and anything else at the end of the year, it'll have the summation of everything that's taken place.
Thank you. So we're on the lookout at this time of the year for those data reports that are coming from that benchmark,
Yes.
Dibbles, MVPA, and then we know in April we need to have our eyes out for those quarter 3 report cards that
That's
are coming
right.
home as well. I
Yep.
love it. And as we're seeing these grades and these different assessments coming through, where should our families really look for any tutoring, any enrichment, or as they're trying to make sure they close any of those little last gaps as we work towards that end of year?
And parents of students who are in Title I schools, one of the blessings about participating in a Title I school is some of us are able to use some of that funding that we receive from the government to set up anything extra. So if parents see a notice about extended day or extended tutoring, some schools do it on the weekends. Some of them do it during the school day if transportation's a barrier. And some schools like my own at Almar Road, we do it after school and during the day just to try to reach those students and try to pull them up. And we do offer that as, I don't like to call it tutoring. I do like to call it enrichment because our kids are brilliant. We just need to make sure that we pour into them a little bit differently. And for parents whose children may not be selected or may not be convenient for them to have them participate in that, we are always looking for ways to reinforce and support learning. I think another blessing about staffing at Title I schools is we are always thinking well ahead of how to support families. So using Parent Square to see what teachers are sending home, making sure you're checking those daily folders. The district does an amazing job of sending out resources. I just shared the recent EOG and parent family resource on my Parent Square for my parents as well. So I would definitely tap in and make sure that you're checking your Parent Squares ongoingly to see what's being offered and check those take-home folders when they come home. I do know that CMS as a whole is doing a really good job of blasting out information ahead of principals. And then so when parents hear it for a second time, it's like, oh, okay, I've already heard this information. So that's just a couple of ways that they can review with their students. But one thing that I also want to offer is parents are the best advocates for their students for the schools that are in middle school, I think, in high school, because they are able to take home their devices ongoingly. iReady is always accessible, right? And also parents, we do encourage you, you can get on the North Carolina released test scores and questions platform, do some practicing with your kids, and please don't be afraid to ask your child's teacher, can you send something extra home? Is there anything more that I could be doing? So that's what I would offer up for tutoring and enrichment.
Absolutely. And I think that really also might have encompassed some of those take-home learning materials, right? Leaning into what's already there, those iReady platforms and connecting with your child's teacher.
Yep. And iReady is a really good indicator and a measurement up against what the end of year assessment is, as well as what the benchmarks of our children are being tested on. It's awesome because it will level it out based on what your child needs in reading and math, and it just allows them to do some additional work and support. If you're obviously in a Title I school, it's all systems go, and a lot of schools have just dynamics and structures in place where students can practice. We do recognize sometimes internet at home is a barrier, and we have so many working families, but the kids love iReady, and there's always a contest or something going on at pretty much all the schools. The kids are gonna, can I use your cell phone to get on iReady? So any way that you could get on there just to keep a pace. If they tell you they don't have homework, there's always something for them to do on iReady.
Absolutely. I've seen some of those iReady March Madness brackets going on in our district. So much fun. And those kids are excited to say, did you see that my class won? So definitely engaging with those. And then as we approach the end of the year, are there any summer programs or opportunities that our family should be on the lookout for, or maybe consider as they're planning their summer?
I do know that certain schools, and Almar Road, for an example, like we have a program from the YMCA called Y Readers. So there are certain schools, it depends on the program that your actual campus has, but CMS has planned wonderful summer camp and summer enrichment programs for those students who really need it. So if you're thinking, all right, my child didn't do too well on the third grade reading EOG, they may be pre-selected to attend the camp that offers a little bit of remediation and a lot of enrichment during the summer. So if your child is selected for any one of those summer programs, not just in elementary, but they're going to have summer school and summer enrichment for middle school as well. And then if you're a high school parent as well, credit recovery, those kinds of things. I think we also need to take a look at removing the negative lens for what summer school means. It also allows us to address the summer slide, because traditionally students, it doesn't matter what the demographic is, they do regress in the summer because they're not coming to school 5 days a week. So if your child was to get selected for that opportunity because they were right on the cusp of something, I would encourage you to take it. It is completely free for parents. They offer transportation, they get breakfast, like they take really good care of the students there. And it's taught by certified teachers who want to continue to extend throughout the summer to make sure that we are addressing that summer slide.
Absolutely. Summer slide is such a use it or lose it type of mindset for a
Yes,
lot of our thinking as we approach our summer learning. And
absolutely.
as we get to that point, as we're just working through these last few weeks of our school year, how should our families continue to partner with our schools as we approach that end of year, last day of school timeline?
I would say one thing that people are heavy on is at the beginning of the year, we can't get enough help in the schools. Everybody wants to volunteer, everybody wants to do something, everyone wants to donate school supplies. But I would encourage any of our parents or guardians who are in here tonight, have a realistic conversation with the school's principal or even with the school improvement team. That might be your best. Point of entry to see what the schools actually need. The biggest thing that I can think through that we need, that we do have a hard time sometimes in Title I schools getting, is proctors for the end of grade tests. So if you are a registered volunteer or, you participate in an organization, a club, church, or whatever, commit to proctoring at, any child school. Obviously, your own would be the best. And just giving 4 or 5 hours so that we have proctors for every teacher. It really helps to relax the environment and take the stress off of the teachers as we prepare. But also even tapping in and remembering that it's Teacher Appreciation Week coming up in May. I believe it's the first week of May this year. One of the things that we don't talk about enough is sometimes what doesn't happen for the teachers who are serving in Title I schools. Just think of your child's teacher. It doesn't mean you have to go out and buy them 100 things. Maybe just making sure that you do a teacher shower where you shower them with a note of love and just show them how much you appreciate them. And then this is a very minute one, but it is cold and allergy season. You would get so much love from teachers if you just stop by and drop off some tissues or drop off some hand sanitizer, just little things. They pay so much, so much for things out of their own pockets. It gets to be a little bit much. So just any donations, but get with the school and the teacher specifically to ask. We don't need any more notebook paper. We need things that are tangible for the students that they can use right away. And obviously, continue to talk well about your child's school. That is the most important thing that you could do. It does not cost a dime. The teachers and the principals and support staff are pouring their everything into what they're offering up to your child every day. Speaking well of a child's school can change or make the difference in a community. So that's what I would offer as a need as we approach the end of the school year.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more to all of the things that you've just shared. Families, if you're not already a registered volunteer, it is an easy process, but you do need to be approved. So please go ahead and complete that sign up now. You can find it at cmsvolunteers.org or on the CMS website. And it is absolutely that cold and flu season. We want to keep spreading that that health and wealth in our schools. So please, anything that you're able to do, and always advocating for your child's school, because we know that our students always listen to their parents first, their first teachers, and we definitely want that positive relationship and partnership. Families, if there's no additional questions, Principal Palmer, I greatly appreciate your time and your perspective and your voice this evening. I know it's always wonderful for our families to hear all of the ongoing pieces, and thank you for sharing your expertise with us. We greatly value your time.
Happy to serve. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Thank you. Now, families, I know we are getting towards the end of our time slot. I have a few more things to share. Just a reminder of where we can find any of our resources under our CMS. K12.org/Family Academy. You can find all of our upcoming offerings under our Lunch and Learn outlines, as well as all recorded sessions, including our Title I sessions in our on-demand library. So as you want to go back and maybe listen and re-engage with this evening's session, it is available on demand for you to listen to at your convenience. And families, we also have our CMS Family Portal. This is our one-stop shop for all of our family-facing resources. So you can easily navigate at the click of a button into exactly what you need. So once you enter the portal, there's no registration, no sign-in required. You can click on the pathway that most benefits you, whether that be elementary, middle, high, or some general K-12 assessments or community resources. Please feel free to go explore, navigate different options that you need. I know for a couple of the topics discussed this evening, under our community resources, there's a financial button, and you'll be able to learn more about those CFNC resources. And I know Principal Palmer shared about that iReady, the DIBELS, the EOGs, EOCs. More information for that can be found under the K-12 assessment pathways. So please take a moment to explore and engage with any resources that you need at your convenience. We do have a few more upcoming Family Academy Lunch and Learns as we approach the end of the school year. This week, we will be having one on Thursday over attendance matters and all things MVPA. We know those MVPA reports are coming home. So our student information team will be going over how to read those reports, what they need, and where to find that next step information, as we also tie in with some of our CMS counselors about just the impact of attendance on our learning. On April 16th, we'll have CFNC back with us as we're planning for the future with CFNC. Meaningful Medicine with Atrium Health will join us on April 23rd, and they'll be highlighting some different opportunities, including our virtual clinics, our virtual therapy, and also the career readiness programs that exist within some of our CMS schools. We'll have the SECU, the State Employees Credit Union, having a coffee chat with some additional savings opportunities as well on April 28th. And our final Lunch and Learn of the year will be our As We Grow Together, which will be assessment insights over DIBELS and iReadies, how to read those assessment reports and what they mean as we navigate towards the end of the year. All of our Family Academy Lunch and Learns, same as this evening, you just need to use that bit.ly to sign in. No registration required. We hope that you're able to join any of the sessions that would most meet your needs. And our final Title I Family Advisory Committee of the year will take place on April 27th at 6 p.m. We'll be digging into some virtual digital resources to continue learning at home through the summer months with our digital learning team. We're excited to connect for that final time and celebrate a great year together. Families, thank you so much for your engagement this evening. This evening's recording will be shared with everyone, as well as uploaded to the on-demand platform. If you have any remaining questions, please feel free to include them in the chat. Otherwise, we hope you have a great evening. Stay safe, and we look forward to connecting soon.